A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism one letter at a time.
Welcome back to A is for Alcoholic podcast about recovery, about redemption, about two reprobates.
About Red Dead Redemption.
Redemption. I like your Steely Dan t-shirt. And yeah, I was thinking I wanted to do either I'm going to write a paper or maybe do a podcast. I guess I'd have to write it all out first. But I've always had this theory about Steely Dan music and the Dark Tower, right? We've talked about this before. Or maybe we haven't.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've mentioned to it. And it comes in that sort of otherworldly vibe that you get from Steely Dan music, you know, Back Jack, Do It Again, you know, wheel turning round and round, all that stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this is just...
That's solely what I can think of that ties into the Dark Tower though, right? Or do you think other ones like...
There have been other ones. Reelin' in the Years has a couple of lines in it. There's the one about knock twice, rap with your cane. Has something, there's another, I can't remember what that one is. I feel like there's some other ones in there that I could...
You could even do that. Is it Donald Fagen or Walter Becker that does that song?
Donald Fagen.
What a beautiful world it would be. What a glorious time to be free, which is about some World's Fair or some shit. But I know it also has a lot of like futuristic Dark Tower connotations because I got you listening to podcasts.
Yes.
And it's just two dudes rehashing the book, which I like have already read all the books multiple times. So to me, I'm like, I like to hear their perspective, but I'm also like, it's almost like I'm listening to the book over again because it's like the cliff notes of it. But
yeah. And there's the whole yes, I like that. And I like the idea of him, one guy who hasn't read it and the other guy's kind of telling him about it, or he's kind of reading it as he goes along. But it's called The Kingslingers, if anybody's interested. And I know we didn't come here to talk about the Dark Tower, but we could. I mean,
talk about getting blacked out in a
Tower Eddie
Records.
Tower Records. Eddie Dean gets sober in the mid-world or in the other world, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He comes down from fucking heroin.
Well, and King is obviously too a famous recovering alcoholic and addict. So
yeah. I do want to say that for those of you who have been listening to us for a while, and Jerry and I were just talking about this, about we're going to be restructuring this show starting in the summer, and we're probably going to be doing a few less episodes.
Yeah.
And there's just no way for it to happen any other way with, I mean, Jerry's been, you're building a house from scratch.
Me personally, by myself. Yeah. Like,
well, no, a pizza. But I mean,
I know what you mean though. Yeah, no, we're building a house and my wife is trying to get her real estate off the ground. And I've been doing, on top of building the house, I've been doing commission paintings too. We just talked about it this morning and I was like, man, I got to really budget my time because I need to find time between prepping and getting the lot ready to build on and going out and painting. So like what I'll do on some days is I'll paint for an hour and a half and then just wear my work clothes to paint in and then just put on my hat and just walk right out to where my dad is with the tractor and just start like from painting. So I've had to do that a bunch of times.
Yeah. And I just don't see any way around it. And, you know, I think you're probably listening to this going like, come on, man, I need my weekly dose of that Wagner wit and wisdom.
Oh, geez.
But it takes a lot of effort to kind of come up here and talk about this shit. And it doesn't always feel good. And I really want it to continue rather than to just stop.
Yeah. So, I'd rather just kind of, peter it out if we have to. Do you know what I mean? Or like just find a better rhythm. Because I think when we first started, we had so many subjects to also speak on. And now that we've been doing it for a little while, it's like, well, how many letter M's can I do? Do you know what I mean? Till it finally just becomes, I don't know. I don't know. I can't even think of an word right now. Malevolence or something.
Malevolence, money. I mean, so
The
and
marketplace,
which is not to say, there aren't a multitude of subjects around sobriety. It needs to feel, and for the listeners too, I want it to be interesting, because I know a lot of people listen to this and you probably hear us go, oh, we talked about that last week, or we talked about that 2 weeks ago. And I also want it to be interesting for both of us. And I feel like we both come on here and go, okay, well, that's kind of just the same thing as this thing, and the same thing as this thing, and kind of rehashing and retreading the same stuff. We will be doing some movie reviews, like about movies about recovery, sobriety, addiction, stuff like that. I got a great email. Did you get
Flight? Yeah, I got the email too. Yeah.
From a listener, Darren, thank you very much. And he had this whole list of, and I was like, oh yeah,
Train
spotting would be great. I was like, I didn't even think about it.
We don't even really necessarily, they don't have to be about recovery per se. At least they could be on our perception of how their addiction is portrayed. You know what I mean? And like, Flight is wild though. I didn't watch, Flight with Denzel Washington, the one we've been talking about doing. And I guess we could talk about it on the podcast when we ever do it. But man, I couldn't watch that for a while because I have such a profound fear of flying. And one of the pivotal scenes in the movie is the whole crux of the movie is that he has to land a plane like upside down or something. And it like fucked me up. Like I couldn't handle it. Like I can watch scary movies all day. I can watch sad things. I can cry like a baby and watch sad things. The only thing I can't really watch is like plane stuff. Stuff and like Meet the Fockers, like social faux pas. I hate it.
That's why you hate Curb Your Enthusiasm, right?
Curb Your Enthusiasm, because he accidentally says the N-word. And then the whole episode is about him saying the N-word and how uncomfortable everybody is with it. And I like Seinfeld though, but Seinfeld kind of, anyhow, that's a whole different thing. But no, man, I can't. Well, everybody's like, you'd love Curb. And I'm like, no, I would. Everything's uncomfortable. Everybody's like, fuck you, Larry David. And I just can't handle that. Like,
yeah. And I'm going to do a lot more interviews with people. So I'm going to have those. So we'll probably be doing about 3 episodes. You'll get 3 episodes a month, and possibly a 4th one every other, something like that. There's just a lot going on. I'm working full time. Jerry's building a house and doing tons of commission paintings. And, we were talking about this too, I think. And so I guess today's letter is T, and I thought T would be good for This Too Shall Pass, as we talk about things changing and moving on. We talked
about that last week.
Or transition or something like that. This too shall pass. And like shit is just going to change. It's always going to change. And when we get sober, you have a lot more time to yourself. And I think my first inclination was to just hide from everything with all that extra time, was just to watch TV and fucking not like interact, not be social. And I think now, as you said, learning to budget your time is something you go, oh fuck, I've never had to do this before.
Right. Well, it depends on the person, but yeah. Yeah.
But I think that when we get clean, when we get sober, when we start to go, oh, I have a lot more time in my day. I don't spend the first 3 hours of the morning just hungover. You're like, because that was it. Like, it's not too far off that I can't remember waking up earlier than I would want to because my head was splitting, because I was dehydrated, because I was fucking in hell. And it's such a relief. And I go, okay, so now I have more time to do things that I want or that I need, or, volunteer and service work. And we talked about all that stuff too. But that whatever we're in right now is going to go away.
Yeah.
That the good and the bad.
Take them both.
There you have.
That motherfucking flex of life, Miss Garrett, just straight flexing. John, No, I was talking to Megan about this yesterday, actually. In we drove around yesterday. We had to run some errands, and I'm always down for errands because I didn't leave the
Yeah.
house for a year. So I'm like, I'll sit in the fucking car and just leave the radio on. I'll listen to my songs, you know. But and I was talking to her, and I just went on this rant about how, you know, I'm unhappy. I've been unhappy, but they're doing so well, you know, like this whole thing is working really well for Megan and Olive. They're both growing here, you know, and everything's kind of happening in a positive, because my wife thrives here. And I was like, listen, man, like, I'll be all right. It will pass. It's so funny. I'm like, I just have to, I'm like, because I was saying, well, listen, I'm here. Like, I'm not going anywhere. And my mom is like, you better not move back to Eugene, right? Because they're already ready for me to bounce. Because I already did that once as drunk. And I was like, I'm not. I have no choice. I'm here. And my mom's like, you do have a choice. And I'm like, no, I don't. I have no choice. Like, I'm here. I can't go home. I can't go back to Oregon or home in quotations. You know, I can't go there. Now I'm here now. I'm home. And I have to, for me personally, I have to make it bigger than choice, because when I first got sober, I had no choice. Like I was powerless, right? If you have a choice, you have power, right? There's a choice to stop drinking. There's the one thing you have power over is you stop. And then from there, where do you go? So for me, I have to approach it in the powerless angle of I have no choice. This will pass. Because if I have no choice, then I just have to let it work itself out. And that is that. I mean, that's kind of one of the ideals behind that quote, that this too shall pass, you know, because it'll work itself out and it'll be done, you know. I mean, you can fight it, but you'll just drown quicker.
So like the quicksand. Well, and I think one thing that you said to me a long time ago, and that I have taken to heart in my own life, is that you said one of the biggest, I don't know how you said it, something like one of the biggest touchstones of your recovery, your sobriety, has been acceptance, or the best tool, and so I was like, yeah, that's right. Because if I feel stuck, resisting it is, I'm just going to sink faster. But if I feel stuck or I'm sad and I just accept it and I go, okay, and this just lasts for as long as it lasts. And after this last year, like, what is time anyway, Jerry?
Right. What does it even mean?
But that was something I was like, okay. And then over this last 6 months, and it was like, I have to radically accept the things that are happening around me. Otherwise, I'm going to be miserable. I have every reason to be fucking sad and miserable. But
right. And then you end
up
up one of those fucking anti-mask rallies because you think you can fucking control it and you can't control it, you know? You know what I mean? You know, like a lot of those people are mad, not because, and not to get political, but a lot of those people aren't pissed off because they're like, government's telling me to wear a mask. They're mad because they're like, I can't fucking work because everyone's getting COVID because we're not wearing masks. But anyway, but you know what I'm saying though, when you feel like helpless in a negative way.
I mean, that's what it is. It comes from a sense of powerlessness. It comes from a sense of helplessness and, you know, not knowing what to do. And I think sometimes with those things and people, when you see people who are resisting things like that, like you talk about the mask versus anti-mask and the psychology of it, is that you have some of these people, not all of them. And I mean, it's complicated, but you have people who have been told all their lives what to do and how to treat their body and what they can and cannot do with their body. And so this feels like finally some sort of autonomy that I have, and I'm going to use it. And so it's a projection of all the other restrictions that they have been given in life,
right,
or that have been imposed upon them. And so what I see this as is projection and acting out, right? What is it? What was it Megan said about the kids at the school? Oppositional
defiance disorder. Yeah. And that's exactly what a lot of people have too. And I think it's funny. I'm gonna kind of slide more into that acceptance thing that I told you, because I'm can be a hypocrite. I can absolutely, because there's a lot of things I don't
Mhm.
accept, and they do fuck up my feeling of well-being. Maybe not my recovery necessarily, but I think my feelings of recovery, my feelings of well-being and recovery are kind of hand in hand, right?
Sure.
And so I can talk to you on the phone and be like, yo, I'm the sage. I know I got sober a year before you did, John. It's all about acceptance, dog, or whatever. But then I don't accept fucking anything sometimes. Like I'm a human, so I can put those rules into place for myself on the big overarching thing to like, it's almost to help myself in a time of trauma. But
Mhm.
then once I'm comfortable and I'm sitting here, I'm like, I fucking hate it here. I hate it. And every day I'm like, I hate it, not accepting it. And it's just making it harder for me. Everybody else is just annoyed. Shut up, go to your room, go in the garage and paint like you're annoying. You'll figure it out. But the only person I'm fucking over is me at the end of the day, because
Mhm.
I'm fucking with my well-being and my mental well-being, which in turn affects my recovery. Because, I could eventually start drinking again for the same reasons I started drinking before, because I was unhappy and I thought it made me feel happier. Because there are times in my life where I've been like, yo, man, if I drank, I might fix this. There's still times, like not recently, but like when I went through that spate of insomnia, like in
Mhm.
2017, I like didn't sleep for like 10 days. It was wild, dude. Like I was sleeping like an hour a night for like 10 days. And there were times where I was sitting there in that room, and I don't know if we were podcasting at that point. I think we were.
Yeah, I think so. Well, maybe
No,
not.
we were just doing book meetings at that point.
Right.
But there were times where I sat in my room and was just like, I'm gonna go get a bottle of whiskey tomorrow, because that's the only way I'm gonna be able to sleep. Because that's the way I remember sleeping in the past, was drinking whiskey. Like I drink NyQuil and it wouldn't work. I wouldn't go to sleep. I would just be awake and feeling like shit on NyQuil. But I didn't
Yeah.
do it because I was just like, no, dude, because you're doing so good, and if you drink, you just won't stop drinking. Then
Mhm.
you'll be asleep forever, Jerry. Forever.
Isn't that funny? Like you say, because I was unhappy and I thought that it would make me happier. Like I would drink for the same reasons. There's not really, I mean, I'm pretty much sure that's the only reason. Like that's it. Like regardless of the specifics, is I'm unhappy and I think this will make me happy.
Right. I
And I
mean, that's
feel like,
definitely, you think that's the big umbrella
I
reason,
mean,
though?
I'm making a
That's the
very broad
dome.
generalization.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
there's
I mean, it's
addiction,
valid,
complicated
though.
business.
Yeah.
Um,
Let's
but
just cast all that shit out, though, and let's just live under this dome.
right, it's just
This
like
dome. It
I'm
makes sense.
unhappy. I think this will make me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And but we have learned that it doesn't make you happy. Not
Well,
for long enough.
it's not for people like us.
Yes.
Yeah, and that caveat's in there. But if you're listening to this podcast, it's pretty likely you're a person like us. But
In
yeah,
one way or
you're
another.
not like some normal guy who loves Jimmy Buffett, and you're like,
Mhm.
huh? What are these guys going to talk about, Jim and the old fucking slavery island? What are they going to talk
Mhm.
about? Because I think Jimmy
Forever.
Buffett has a slavery island,
You think he does?
like Epstein. Yeah, yeah, he's got them vibes, dude.
Got them
Look at
Epstein
his eyes.
vibes.
He's got the Jimmy eyes, dude. Jimmy legs.
Burger in paradise.
Got them cheeseburger eyes, dude. Watching you from his boat. He's like,
Oh man.
we're gonna do some gross shit.
I could go for a
That's my hot
cheeseburger.
take. You could go.
Um
I had a cheeseburger the other
did
day.
you? Was it good?
I don't care anymore, man.
It
It was really good. Yeah, I'm maintaining, dude. I'm at a good, like, I'm at a 158 right now.
Okay.
158, 160. When I moved here, I was at 153, 155. Like, you know how
Okay.
you fluctuate with water weight
Mhm.
and stuff. So
Yes, I do.
I'm maintaining. Yeah, I know you do, because you're like, whoa, I gained 20 pounds of water weight. And I'm like, no, you gained 5 pounds of water weight. You gained 15 pounds of pistachio, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But anyhow, I'm not eating as carefully as I was before, but I'm still running, and
Mhm.
I lifted weights today, and I burned more calories running here than I did in Eugene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am going tomorrow to get I got a birthday gift. This is my birthday was in March, but I'm going to get a 90-minute like deep tissue massage because I got this
Nice.
like fucking spot in my back.
That's where
'Cause
my
I haven't
wife
been able
is.
to lift anything.
Uh-huh.
And it's
Huh.
just yeah, it's been tough. And I have to so I go to work and I'm lifting all this stuff and heavy things, and I'm like, fuck, and then I come home and I'm like, everything is sore right there. So she's gonna get in there, and I got this list from her. So she's super COVID sensitive. There's a little outdoor solarium business.
So you go get outside massage too.
Basically, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's gonna be something else. But there's this whole list of things like you need to make sure that if I touch a sensitive spot, that you breathe into that spot, and like there's this whole thing about it may be an emotional experience, and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that tomorrow I can release some things and feel better about
it. Just fart the
Probably.
whole time. That'll be your emotions.
I've been to this woman once before, but I was also like 60 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
My back was ruined, but
what part of your back hurts?
It's just the lower right, but it's like near the spine. So
I know what you're talking about.
It's when I twist like this or when I bend over. So it's just like this little thing right here. And so I'm just like, fucking it sucks because I want to go and do things. And I was like grabbing the kettlebell. I was moving it this morning just to make room for my coffee outside. And I was like,
and you were like,
this is heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, this didn't used to be heavy last, month or whatever, last couple weeks. And I just haven't lifted it because it hurts and I can't re-injure this shit.
I had Megan's best friend, her husband is an athlete, and he did athletic, like he was an athletic trainer for years. Not an athletic like not a jock strap, but like was a trainer for years and stuff, and he's really into weightlifting. He boxed for years. And we had this long conversation about lifting weights, and he was telling me that some of the best stuff in the world to do is back exercises. When you're doing that stuff, he says everybody focuses on core and chest and they never focus on their legs and their back. And he's like, if you're unbalanced and you do more chest stuff than back stuff, you don't have those muscles in your back to pull all that weight back. So he recommended 2 separate back exercises, which are those back rows. You do those like a standing back row and a bench back row, and then this one he called a Superman. So I've been doing them soups. 10 soups per set, where you lay down flat on your stomach and then you stick your arms and legs out and you pull everything back and arch your back like you're skydiving. Hold it for 2 seconds or 3 seconds and then let go and then do that
on your stomach.
You're laying on your stomach, yeah, and you repeat that kind of hold.
How many sets?
I do 3 sets of 10.
Okay.
But they're all interspersed with other exercises. That being said, I have found, not that I'm telling you should do these specifically, but back exercises have been even when I stretch to run. I don't know if you stretch before you run, but I stretch before I run just because I don't want to hurt myself. I always do back, like yoga, like cat cows, dude. I love them. They look silly as hell though. I get embarrassed. Like I don't want anybody to see me doing cat cows. My mom walked in on me doing cat cows and I'm like, yo, I'm not a sex weirdo. I'm just, my back is all fucked up, dude.
Isn't that funny that we have this like weird aversion toward these things?
I can't stretch in the same room. My brother-in-law's working out in there because he works out every morning from like 6 to like 8.
Damn.
Like he does cardio for like 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and he does it with kettlebells and a 40-pound backpack on. And so I don't know, man. Like if I have to run, I'll go stretch in the backyard because I get embarrassed to do my stretches in front of him because I'm like, I do some pretty weird shit. But then again, he's running on a treadmill, a 40-pound fucking pack on his back. So
yeah.
But yeah, isn't that weird? Yeah, I didn't know you felt the same way. Like I get embarrassed. But then you do push-ups in public in front of a donut shop. So
well, I was gonna say that's how you get over it. You just got to get out there and start doing push-ups in front of the donut shop.
No one gives a shit. That's the thing.
They don't.
Like,
that's the thing. You're the only one. Your mom doesn't care. Your brother-in-law doesn't care.
She's like, yeah, he's doing cat camels. They're good for his back. And I'm over here like, I'm not heat.
And I think, we've carried that level of deep insecurity for a long, long time. And so it's just.
You think that's fat guy stuff or alcoholism or both mixed together?
I think it's both. I think it's definitely, I'm so used to being big. And so when people see me, and even though I've gained some of the weight back over this last year, what I see and what other people see are vastly different. And I'm still trying to see what other people see because they'll be like, wow, you look great. And I'm like, I look like a fat piece of shit. And I try not to listen to that.
You got that dysmorphia.
Yeah, but I think it's a lot of fat guy shit because, being super insecure about doing anything with your body. You know, there's one theory that, you know, carrying all the fat is kind of to hide yourself because you don't want the world to
That
see
is, you
you.
don't want the world to see you, dude. You just want them to know who you are.
Yeah,
Get the fuck
that's
out of here.
it's a Goo
Didn't I
Goo
just
Doll
do this?
song.
I know I did it last week. I
Uh-huh.
was quoting it last.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that's very true. I think that in a lot of ways, but I also think the alcoholism, which was there was a part of me that loved to indulge and to go into excess, and I thought that
Yeah.
somehow that was the height of existence, was to be excessive in the food that I ate, in drinking, even in some ways in sex when that came about. But like
Mm-hmm.
that was very rarely my motivation going out to bars and stuff. But yeah, it was definitely
Well,
like
you were
there's some
always really extravagant in your drinking, I remember, in the sense that you were like, let's go to Le Grand Franc and have fucking duck livers.
mhm.
Yeah, I'll pay for duck
Yeah,
livers,
I
you know,
would.
and then I'd just be in there being like, yo, can I just get a fucking beam of Coke? You know, like,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you were like that a lot.
And then it was just because I had cash in my pocket all the
Right.
time, and then I would be
And that
fucking broke for like 2
expression of
days.
extravagance was like, it
I
was your,
deserve this. I earn this.
yeah,
I'm, you know, like I'm not rich, but like I can be rich for this moment. I can be like, I can feel like just, yeah, indulgent and excessive. And it felt powerful, I guess, in a
and you
way.
place, I'm going to assume that you place a higher value on experiences now
Oh, yeah.
than things that, you know, than physical sensations,
Oh,
you know?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
for
because I feel the
sure.
same way. Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, I guess because also it's like I don't have a lot of money,
right.
but
That's also part of it
that
too. Yeah,
helps. So, but it's definitely I go, okay, well, I'm 44, and so how much can I experience? How much can I experience this spring and summer?
yeah.
How much can I get out there? I was on a hike yesterday, and this woman came by us, and she had no fucking arms, Jerry, and I was like, she was out there on the
Damn.
hike. She was doing her thing. Like she had a couple friends with her, but
She had
like
prosthetic arms or just no
no,
arms?
there was just no arms. And
So
I was
everybody's just
like,
kind of hanging around making sure she didn't fall down or anything?
I
Or
guess. And this
I'm
was
not
not
trying not to be a dick. Like
no,
that's fucked up. I'm not trying to laugh about it. I just
that's seriously. Yeah, I mean, I
should have
assume
people on
so.
either side of her to be like, maybe she was newly.
No, she was leading the fucking the
Oh,
line.
word? That's
Yes, this is
rad.
what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
it was just like, oh wow. And so this was not like a wide path. There was one of the trails was called the steep ravine, and it was
Hmm.
definitely a steep ravine. So
Yeah.
I was just that was something where I'm like, man, if ever there was a moment, a reminder of like to be grateful for what
Right.
you have. And I know we say it and we roll our eyes at it, but like it's so fucking true. I was like, oh man, like this is it. She's out here doing this. And she was probably in her 60s.
Yeah.
So
It is so hard though to check yourself in your own entitlement when you're in the
mhm.
process of feeling sorry for yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's such a
Yes.
good feeling. It's such a great feeling to massage, that indulgent feeling of like, oh, poor me. It's so hard. I have to sleep in a cot in a 10 by 10 room.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm a
Yeah.
fucking alcoholic. I can't go to any of the bars and drink your hard cider. Oh, you know, and
Speaking
not
of
realizing like things are going great. Like
things are
honestly,
really going great. They're
they're
really
going
going great.
better than they have been in years. So yeah, you know.
Hmm.
Speaking of what, you're gonna tell me about the new jam that Truly has or something?
No, did you go to a meeting this last week or no?
No, I haven't
Are they
been since that one time I went. They're
okay?
all so fucking early, dude. And they're
Yeah.
still not really doing in-person meetings a lot.
Yeah.
And so the ones that are in person are like 6:45 a.m. And I get up every day around between 6 and 6:30.
Hmm.
But I also have a lot of anxiety driving the car here because I don't have a license and I don't want to get pulled over here. In Eugene, there are no cops. There's like two cops that drive around. And listen, listener, don't be driving a car around with no license. That's like,
Not a good idea.
yeah, don't be doing that.
I mean, do what you got to do, but
Mhm.
just it's not a good idea. Yeah. I gotta look into that because I think there might be doing in-person ones, and now that I'm all vaxxed up, I'll feel a little more comfortable about walking into the community center or the church or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all vaxxed and staxed and
vaxxed
ready
and
for
stacked.
the saxophone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all vaxophoned.
Vaxophone.
No, so you haven't been to an in-person meeting yet either?
No, like I said, I'm gonna look into it this week. I had somebody else reach out to me who I went and spoke at one of their meetings last spring, and they're out in Stockton, and they were like, "Hey, what's up?" And he's hit me up before about it, because I think he wants to come out and come to a meeting here, and just kind of check something different out. And one of the he was expressing to me some of the boredom and the ennui that we can get when we go to like the same meetings over and over and over.
Yeah.
You see the same people over and over and
like,
over.
"This is
You hear
my
the same
home group."
stories. Right. And
Yeah.
that's, which again, it was also expressing to me the gratitude of the home group, and like having those people and having the support and having the security of that. But I think at a certain point, you like want to try different things. You want to
dude.
branch out. You want to experience recovery in a different way that you haven't yet. You're like, oh, isn't there more to this?
They're all kind of the same though, but different, right? It's a trip, because you go to a lot of different ones, and I have only been to a lot of different ones in Eugene, but you're able to go to like the Bay Area and up and down.
There's a lot more going on.
I'm very
here.
curious about Tucson one, so, and I'm looking forward to it. I really am looking forward to finding the right ones that, once everything kind of chills out, hopefully, if it doesn't get worse again.
If Governor Coldstone can,
I was about
keep
to
it
talk
together.
some shit about Ducey and be like, yo, if Ducey decided to fucking kill us all these fucking
man, yeah,
damn baby boomers up here being like, "Brr, brr, 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 no one tells me what to do. I did acid at fucking Altamont."
Yeah, Joe sent me a few pictures of some fucking Arizona shit, and it's just like wild.
But Joe's always looking for the worst in everything, though.
Yes,
I love Joe, but he is always looking for the hard part. And I don't even like it here. And I'm being like, yo, Joe, you really don't like it here. Like,
but yeah, so the idea, let's trace back the conversation to indulgence and excess and fat guy stuff and alcoholism and all of that stuff compounded on itself. I mean, alcoholism, I think, for me, went hand in hand, and it exacerbated my indulgence and my obesity. And but I think that the majority of the insecurity over doing cat cows or push-ups, because I still get it. I just, once I'm out there and I'm fucking sweaty and exhausted, and I'm like, I don't give a shit. These cars are going by at 40 miles an hour. I'm gonna stop and do some push-ups, give them a little show. And that I've become a lot less insecure because of that. I'm not saying that you have to do that as part of, it's not like face your fear, but it's been helpful when you're out there. And I'm just like,
started getting comfortable running without a shirt on. So that's my step one. I don't know if I'll ever do push-ups in a run, though. That's just not my jam.
Well, it's a good break. It's what I
do them here in my garage. But
well,
no, it is
taking
a
my
good
shirt
break.
off.
And you got your like fingerless leather fucking pervert gloves.
I don't wear them for the full run because it's too hot and sweaty.
So you'll like cool down, check your pulse, because you don't have a Fitbit. So you're doing the old school probably. You're like breathing it out, and then just silently put on the fingerless gloves and just jam out 20 push-ups real quick.
Yeah, something like that.
And get a Fitbit, damn it. I'm telling you, it'll change. You're like, okay, Jerry, get off my ass about it. Well, I'm telling you, the fitness trackers are so fucking interesting to see your what you've accomplished.
Okay.
And you'll look at it and be like, holy shit, I've taken 25,000 steps today. Like, that's crazy though. That's like I think my longest day is like 22,000 steps, which is almost 10 miles, like walked in a day. I know you probably do more than that because I look at your phone. I look at you on something. It was my Fitness Pal, but I quit my Fitness Pal.
The run, or are you still counting calories every single day?
I'm still counting calories every day, but I do it on the Fitbit app. But yeah, I'll
Got it.
see it on the run on the MyFitnessPal. It'll be like, congratulate John for burning 3,000 calories for running for 10 minutes. And I'm like, that's inaccurate.
There's been a couple times where I'm like,
That's
yeah,
absolutely inaccurate.
don't
I just
think.
ran 6 miles and only burnt like 700 calories.
I was like, yeah, I don't think that's accurate at all. I think that
but that's
hike.
because the iPhone in your pocket's like you're counting quadruple steps and shit because it's just tic-tacking around in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just
Tic-tacking
turned
around.
it into a fucking nutrition workout. This would be one of those episodes where the one alcoholic that listens to us that doesn't work out is like, yeah, skip that one.
Delete.
Delete.
Fast
John in
forward.
his fingerless gloves and Jerry in his fucking Charge 2 Fitbit he bought like 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's the one that I keep getting advertised for is Whoop now. And I don't know.
what that is.
It's like they'll check your sleep, they check your recovery time, they tell you when to work out.
This one checks my sleep too.
Does it? All right.
Yeah, but that one might be a little more complex. Enros has another one too called it's some type
Garmin?
of ring. I want to say it's a Nuvo ring, but I think that's a sex thing.
That's it. Well, it's not. It's
a ring she wears on her finger, and it always keeps track of her steps and her pulse. Like it's a fitness tracker, but it's like a little metal ring. No, my brother-in-law has like a really nice Garmin. I'd like to get one of those because the GPS is really accurate.
Yeah.
And their resources for running are pretty awesome. But we'll talk about this later.
So we get better as we work on ourselves. The insecurities do fade in some ways, but in others, they're still there. And so we deal with them. And sometimes some days are different than others.
My sister overheard me and she wrote, it's an aura ring. She just texted me
from the other room.
She heard me from the other room. O-U-R-A.
Nuva ring is for birth control, right?
Nuva ring is for birth control. So it's okay. O-U-R-A. Yeah, they can hear. There's a hole in the door. You can hear everything. I just sit here and I'm all wow booze. I'm sad. And she just sits over there and types on her thing, and it's like fucking Jerry.
But in going back to our main topic at the top of the hour of this too shall pass, of the transitions and stuff like that, like all of this is in process and finding our rhythms and finding our ways. And, we go back and forth with this and we try to figure this out. And I would be surprised to go and listen to a podcast from 2 years ago and, where we were at and what we were doing. And it's different for everyone. And I can't stress this enough because I, talk to other people about fitness and about diet, and people who are like, I'm on the carnivore diet and it's working great for me. And I do this and this works great for me. And I'm over here and I'm doing this. And you can find an example of every, ultra athlete doing a very different thing, right? Plant-based only, diet, carnivore only. You got to lift weights. Well, you got to do more cardio. You got to do this. And so I think the same is true of recovery. We have some basic tenets, like we have to put the work in and we have to mind ourselves and we have to not drink for one. And then we can begin the process of whatever the steps are for you, whatever the steps you need. And, but it's different and we look at it different and we come about it different. And we're going to find eventually, right? You were in a very fucking transitional period right now. You are in a very long liminal space that's going to take a while. And in a year, it's going to be different, man. Like in a year, well,
we'll see.
It will be whether or not.
Not in a positive way, not in a better. I mean, I hope it is. I would like for it to be. Yeah, absolutely.
I hope so too, man. I hope so too. I mean,
and then we'll be back with our new format where we just talk about Star Wars and fucking running.
I said this. I don't think I'm ever going to watch another Star Wars movie, Jerry.
I'll watch them, but I don't care about them.
Maybe if they do an R-rated one, that could be cool, but I don't think that's going to happen.
It's just like, get the fuck out of here. I'm a fucking Jedi.
That's what I want to see. That's what I want to hear.
Dick and your tits off, son of a bitch. What was I going to say? Oh, you had mentioned the term in rhythm, and I really like that a lot. This too shall pass, and the idea of everything being temporary and the idea of finding your own rhythm, because one of the things I really like about the idea of being in rhythm is it's not a permanent thing. Like to be in rhythm, you have to not be in rhythm sometimes to recognize when you're in the rhythm. It's like with music, right? Like you fucking love this song. You love If You Want Me to Stay by Sly and the Family Stone. It's great because it's 3 minutes long. It's not great because it's fucking 2 hours long. You know what I
Right,
mean?
exactly.
Like that rhythm becomes repetitive. So the rhythm always has to change, or you have to drop out of the rhythm entirely and miss being back in the rhythm. Do you know what I mean? To get back there again. So with my life, when I do hit these bald spots and these low spots in the road where I'm feeling really hopeless, that's part of the acceptance is I have to tell myself, this is how I'm feeling now. Yeah, there are some subtle things I can do to correct it, but I can't change it entirely. I just have to write it out till it's done, and hopefully I'll get back into rhythm again. Get back to where I can find my routine and get back to where I can find those things that bring me contentment and make things seem less painful, Like so I liked when you used that term a lot. Yeah.
It's true. We fall in and out of it, and maybe fall is a wrong word, but it's like the song ends and then another song begins.
I think fall's a good word for it though,
Fall.
because you do fall in and out of it. And sometimes you gradually like turn it up. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you gradually start following the rhythm and boom, hit it and then fall out of it again. And sometimes it just immediately starts and you're like, oh, this is life. This is how I live my life. This is exactly the pocket I want to be in. But you can't be in that pocket forever. It just doesn't work out that way. Like even in I've done the 12 steps 14 times in a row, and every sponsee calls me like grandpappy fucking corn cob or whatever the fucking was it, plug and jug. They call me grandpappy plug and jug. You still gotta follow out that rhythm. It's just those people fall out of the rhythm all the time. That's why, like last week when we were talking, I was like, AA's full of fucking crazy people. And we were like laughing about that shit. I didn't mean that in an offensive way. Like it literally is full of crazy fucking. That's why we're all in this room, or that's why we're all in recovery. We're not doing it because do you know what I mean? Like I always, this is going to sound really judgmental, but I always question the motives of people who come into the rooms who are like, I'm doing this for my health, or I'm doing this for my fitness and that alone. Because I've heard people come into rooms and be like, yeah, I'm getting sober because I think it'll help me lose some weight. Like I've heard that shit in the rooms and everybody's like, all right, cool. And I'm like over here in the corner, like,
it's the wrong reason.
Did you ever suck dick for marijuana?
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean though? That's so fucked up of me, because I should just be like, anything you need to tell me that'll get you into that pocket. Because maybe that's what you're telling the room because you're embarrassed. I don't know.
Right. And that's a good point that you see that even though that
I
you
see
see
myself
that
doing it and I'm like, Jerry, dude,
that your judgmental thoughts are flawed.
Absolutely.
We're all hypocrites.
Yeah.
Nobody is pure.
No.
And so once we accept that, it's a lot in ourselves. I think like once I accept that I'm going to be a fucking hypocrite and I'm not going to be perfect and I'm not like some shining beacon of hope all the time.
Or that your story's tougher than anybody else's story, or
the sooner than I stop judging other people, because it's like I don't need to be pure. I don't need to have everything figured out because to help somebody else, right? I don't have to. If somebody says, hey, how did you do this? And I'm like, well, I'm still kind of working on that, but I can tell you where I'm at and how I got there now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I think that that's something somebody mentioned. I got a comment from somebody about like, oh, you'd be a really good therapist or coach or something like that. And I just said, thank you. And I didn't feel terribly good about it because I was like, because immediately when somebody pays me a compliment, I begin to think about all of the flaws that I have.
Yeah, I get super embarrassed. Like, don't compliment me. Yeah, I've absolutely like that too. Don't even compliment me. Get the fuck out of here.
And I think that that's yet again something else that will need to be worked on. I don't need to, and I don't think that it needs to be I don't need to just be lavished in praise, nor do I need to be like, well, you know what, you're right. that's exactly what I am. That's who I am. I don't let it go to my
I'm a
head.
drug counselor now.
Yeah,
I mean, you
like,
could be though. I know lots of people in recovery who have gone into that
mhm,
line of work, and it's been pretty
but
fulfilling for a few of them. But
yeah, I don't know that I'm there, and I don't know that I want to be there.
yeah, you don't have to do anything
Um,
you don't want to do. You can fucking just do
do
whatever.
this, but
Yeah,
so I think that accepting the the flaws in my own judgmental thinking helps me to be less judgmental ultimately.
huh? I'm gonna try that.
I mean, just like what you said, you're like, oh, whatever that gets that person in the room.
Yeah. Well, yeah, whatever will get your room to get you into the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Like that good the pocket we try to find with booze, right? Because weren't we just drinking to find the rhythm?
Yes, fun.
To find
Yes.
that, like, to find that normalcy in that. Because whenever I say I'm in the pocket, I remember when I was drinking, I'd say that shit all the time. I had that
Mm-hmm.
perfect buzz. I was like 6 fucking whiskeys in, and I was like, I'm in the pocket right now, and I feel really good. And it was so short lived. It's like half an hour in the pocket. You know what
And
I mean?
then,
Because then it starts to, you go and pee it out, and it starts to kind of climb down a little bit, and you're like, oh, it's climbing down. I better fucking get another drink. You get another drink,
mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden you're like out of pocket.
Yep. Yep.
You're
It didn't
wilding out because you're trying to stay back in that pocket, but you have gotten out. You're in the room. You're all over the place.
fight with your friends, fight with your girl, fight with fucking inanimate objects, fight with
Mm-hmm.
yourself. Like it flips on itself immediately,
Yeah,
And
didn't we watch Coda wrestle a sawhorse in front of the smoke shop in Seattle one night for like 10 minutes?
if not that, some other incarnation of that for sure.
And
I
I'm not
mean,
putting the finger on Coda. I'm just saying you said an inanimate object, and I
mhm,
immediately pictured Coda rolling around on the ground at like midnight
mhm.
on Ballard Avenue.
Or somebody fucking wrestling with a rolling down the street in an office chair in an alley. That
Ah,
sounds vaguely familiar to
we
me.
did that with Will behind the Crescent.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the big takeaway from this, and going into the next season, the next year, the next, we've kind of started this thing in July because it's when our birthdays, our sobriety birthdays are, that it's, shit is just going to change and things are not going to stay the same, and that's
Yeah.
fine. And it doesn't need to be fine. It's important for me to have things that are, um, that give me security, but I can't I can't expect you to be the one to come here every week when you've got other shit going on, right? And then they're like, well, if Jerry doesn't come here, I'm gonna fucking drink. And it's like that's
That's
really
wild.
not good.
Don't put that on me.
Don't put well,
Don't
yeah,
you
if
put
one
that
don't
voodoo on me, Ricky Bobby.
don't put it on you, but also that is nowhere for me to live. That is nowhere for me to live
No,
thinking
that's
I need
that's
this.
so that's so tenuous. Do you know what I mean? That's that
Mm-hmm.
sort of Damocles shit. Like, it's so
Mm-hmm.
tenuous. Like, yeah.
So there's, and I heard this described once in a meeting where like recovery is like a stool, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you have, I think they were saying, so like a stool has 4 legs,
Yeah.
and you can pull one of the legs off and the stool will still stand up. So it's important to have multiple legs so that if one of them becomes weakened or one of them is ripped out from you entirely, you can still stand and your recovery will still keep you stable somewhat until you can repair that leg. And so I think as we move on in the next couple of months and we do other stuff and things change, like I have to make sure that I have my other legs in place.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We both do.
Yes, we both do. Yeah. Mhm.
And I mean, I think that I'm
Which
looking
is why we
forward.
work our own versions of our program.
Mm-hmm.
This is why
Yes.
we work our program, is to make sure that we have those stool legs, or make sure our stool is all nice and packed.
Nice and packed.
Make sure our
Yes.
stool is all nice and sturdy. Our sturdy stool.
Sturdy stool of recovery. But yeah, and also that these beautiful moments, the good moments, they're gonna go go away quickly too. They're going to pass too.
It's all transitory, dude. That's why I love this too shall pass, because everything is transitory.
If we don't take the time, the whole, smell the roses, like it's for real, because
Them roses gonna be on your grave, son.
yes,
You know what I mean?
I do.
They're gonna morph like Michael Jackson's Black or White video. They're gonna morph from roses you smell into roses on your grave. What's that called? When he did it was morph. Mighty Morphin. Yeah.
Mighty Morphin.
Morph. Yeah. Yeah, it is all transitory though, and that's kind of the good part of it too, is the impermanence of it, even of recovery in its own ways. You know what I mean? It all waxes and wanes. I'm not talking about relapse. I just mean the tools you use, you'll discard and pick up new, like, emotional tools to use later. Hopefully.
Yeah, you pick up, discard, you add more, you refine the ones you have, and you go, okay, I do that. That's good. And so, yeah. So this too shall pass, just like you have listened to us ramble on for the last hour. We're going to do this again and again and again and again in one way or another, but life has to move in different directions. It has to. There's no other way for it to happen. It doesn't.
Right.
It's not fucking linear. None of it is.
Nope. Just wake up, experience it, and go to sleep.
What do you got going on after this? Are you going back out to work on the house more?
No, house isn't today. Today is commission paintings.
Okay.
This is all purpose overalls, because they go over all this shit I'm wearing. Yeah. Okay. These are actually hard to work on the lot in, because I have to do a lot of shoveling and pitchforking, because we're picking up dead cactus and throwing it into a bucket, a giant dumpster. So, but when you bend over it, like, I don't know who thought overalls were conducive for shoveling and stuff. They're a pain in the ass. They always slip over one side. So I paint these a lot. But then when you paint these, you got to like kind of really loosen them, because they get a little tight in the crotch and they smash your nuts.
Many adjustments.
Yeah, that's why I was adjusting them earlier when we were talking, because I was like, oh, these are uptight for when I paint, But no, tomorrow I'll work on the lot. Tomorrow I got to clear out. We've been transplanting barrel cactus, which is the craziest thing in the world, because you have to take the tractor and take the backhoe, or take the blade of the tractor and cut a furrow in the ground. Then you drive the tractor over to the barrel cactus, and my dad will like kind of get under the root of the barrel cactus, and I have to take a shovel and like push it into the bucket of the tractor. And this thing weighs like 300 pounds. But have you seen a barrel cactus, right? But we don't want to kill them all. I like want to use them on the house, on the property. So then we drive it back over to the furrow, and he like balances it there. And then hopefully Megan will be around with like another shovel, and I'll kind of hold it straight, and she'll just bury it real quick, bury the root of it. And you pour water on it, put a little bit of fertilizer in it, and just leave it. Hopefully it doesn't die. So there's just a row of like barrel cactus outside in the desert, right in front of my parents' house. And we can't touch the saguaros at all. So you got to figure out how to work around them.
Oh, because they're protected?
Because there's a pygmy owl or something in the saguaro. So if you need to cut it down to build, you have to like get a permit. But luckily, we've got 2 saguaros near the property, but not where we're actually placing the cement pad. Got it. So it's stuff like that. So working on the lot is actually doing all the grading work and doing all the clearing, all the vegetation. A creosote tree, when you pull it out by the roots, smells like sewer.
No, that's horrible. Disgusting.
Yeah, it is. But when it rains, they smell like the best thing in the world. Like it's so fucking weird.
What is this tree called?
Creosote.
Creosote.
Yeah, CREOSOTE. They're like a little bush shrub thing, but when it rains, they open up and they smell like really like this deep wood smell. But then when you take a backhoe and pull them out by the roots, they smell like garbage.
Such is life.
It's fucking things I'm learning, right? And they're like, when are you coming back to tattoo it? And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like,
I'm busy.
I'm out here trying not to get fucking snake bit like it's the 1820s. Jesus fucking Christ.
It's well,
all right, man.
I wish you well, man.
Thanks,
and I know that as we move forward in all of everything, I'm hoping. I think this winter I want to come for a visit.
I think it would be a good time. Like, yeah, hopefully everything will be up and rolling. Show up like around November or something.
Okay.
You're killing it, dude. November. We showed up in December, and November will still be nice and warm. It won't be quite as cold yet.
I mean, I got a tent.
Runs.
I can bring my tent too. You know.
I mean, if you wanted to, I wouldn't sleep out there in a tent, but you can though. I wouldn't want to.
Critters.
There's tons of critters, dude.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.